All right, what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? Welcome back here today to the Extra SROS channel. Today, we are going to be reacting to this Bleacher Report article, 3 trade targets for every NBA team in 2026. We're kind of building up to trade season. I still can't believe it. I mean, I'm saying this on January 4th. You guys should be seeing this on January 4th. We haven't seen a single trade yet. I know that hasn't happened in the last few years. Maybe you have to go back to like a decade ago or something like that to see this long without a trade happening. And I wonder what the main reason why. Is it this guy right here? Teams are waiting to see what the future is for Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee. Milwaukee still hasn't really looked like a formidable playoff team this year. They're still a couple games under 500, and maybe teams are like, okay, Giannis is going to get traded at some point. We need to hold on to all our assets possible to go out and get Giannis. Or is it a CBA thing? Teams are just so handicapped with the second apron restrictions that they don't really want to make a move until they absolutely have to. Or is it just like teams are in a standoff right now? We may see a flurry of trades over the next few weeks. So maybe it's Jonathan Kuminga holding up the market. I don't freaking know at this point. But we're going to react to this article, 3 trade targets for every NBA team, seeing if I think they're even realistic, if I agree, if I disagree. And you can let me know maybe if you're a, I don't know, Knicks fan, if you're a Jazz fan, let me know your maybe 3 favorite trade targets down below. I'm really excited for the month of January. I know January, that's not like a dead part in the NBA, because I've had actually some people say that to me because the in-season tournament's over. You still have a little bit to the trade deadline. I don't know. I love this time of year because we're starting to figure out who these teams are. You're still dealing with all the rumors, which I think some are true. You got to be careful of the not true rumors, and we could still speculate a ton, right? Like once February is done, that's it. That's pretty much your team until the buyout market. But still right now, you could figure out what you like and what you don't like for your team. So we're going to start off here, the Atlanta Hawks. 3 of them are Giannis, Zubac, and Trey Jones. Okay. I mean, I think Giannis makes sense. You guys have heard me talk about Giannis to the Hawks like plenty of times in the past. It makes a ton of sense. They own that swap and they do have the resources to go out and get Giannis. So if you're like a semi-realistic Giannis team, yeah, he should always be number 1 in this top 3. Zubac is an interesting one, because they could easily get there with the matching salary. You have Luke Kennard's $11 million. You have Kristaps Porzingis' expiring contract. You would have to give the Clippers a ton of assets, and that's what the Clippers are in the market for. I think like quantity of assets at this point. Can they get multiple first-round picks? Can they get multiple rotational players in a Zubac trade? Like, it's kind of crazy right now. I don't think this is ever going to happen. I'm just throwing out this like idea. Like, does Nickeil Alexander-Walker equal a Vici Zubac, like Noah plus picks? And would you do that preseason? Yeah, we would do that. The way Noah's playing, I don't think you're doing that if you're Atlanta. It was just an idea. Trey Jones, I mean, I think Luke Kennard has been a disappointing backup. Now, with this Hawks team at full strength, you kind of like Dyson Daniels operating the second unit as a ball handler. I've at least enjoyed Dyson Daniels at times this year as a ball handler, but he's actually had to operate sometimes as the starting point guard because of the Trae Young injury, and who knows where Trae Young is going right now. Maybe they think Trae Young is a Chicago Bull, and that's why they have Trey Jones. But they're basically saying that he could be just a rotational point guard for them going forward. Because I will say it's been slightly disappointing this year for Luke Kennard. So, yeah, the Zubac one is interesting because I know this team could look for that rim protector, which is normally Kristaps, but Kristaps' expiring contract hasn't been fully healthy this year. And maybe you like Zubac just more long-term than Okongwu, and Okongwu could be the matching salary theoretically. Boston is like number 3 or 2 in the NBA in terms of offensive rating. They're like a top 5 net rating team, and they don't even have a top 5 player, top 6, 7 player in Jason Tatum healthy yet. It's incredible. Jaylen Brown has been a legitimate MVP candidate at the moment. He just had 50 against the Clippers, who were one of the hotter teams in the NBA over the last few weeks. So we have Daron Sharp, Ayo Dosunmu, and Dwight Reith. So lesser tier names here. You don't have like your Zubats, your Gaffords of the world, anybody like that. Sharp I like. An in-division trade. I don't know if Brooklyn is really rushing to trade away Daron Sharp unless you get a good return. Now, like, they have Neemias Queta. You get a sprinkle of, like, Luka Garza minutes here and there. Like, positive Luka Garza minutes. I'm just trying to think, like, I don't know. Jordan Walsh, he's not a center by any means defensively, but that man can rebound and maybe out-rebound some centers as well. Where I think just getting a body, like, yeah, if you're trading, like, Xavier Tillman in a second for Dwight Reith, sure. I do like the idea of Ayo Dosunmu, who fits this team very well with his 3-point shooting ability this year. He's under an expiring contract as well. So, like, Boston doesn't maybe want to commit to long-term money against the tax. And, hey, if you're trading multiple seconds for Dosunmu, sure. But you're not really leveraging Anthony Simons is expiring in any of these trades now. if like DeAndre Ayton was on that like $30 million expiring contract, yeah, we could do a DeAndre Ayton for Anthony Simons trade. Do we just do an Anthony Simons for Kristaps Porzingis trade? I don't think Boston could reacquire Kristaps, although that would be hilarious. But yeah, like I like Daron Sharp. I don't think he's that much of an upgrade over Neemias Queta. I don't think he's an upgrade over Queta, but I do think he could be a serviceable backup for sure. Desunmu I like the most, and Dwight Reith. We can get a couple more exciting names out there, but I mean, Portland has Yang, Time Lord, Klingon. They don't maybe need Dwight Reith in a way, so he could be expendable. Brooklyn, we got some, not draft rejects, but you have Cody Williams, who I guess is a draft reject at this point. Obviously, Utah is going to prioritize like Ace Bailey's development. Keontae George is at the top of that pecking order in terms of development for their young core going forward. You have Jeremy Shohan, who I would actually like Brooklyn to take a flyer on. I don't know if San Antonio is interested in Hayward Highsmith, but that money works up or matches up pretty well. And then you could throw in like a first round swap, maybe. You could throw in like a high value second rounder, just because Jeremy Sohan will be a restricted free agent, kind of been out of that Spurs rotation when they're at full strength. I like that idea for Brooklyn, because I do think he would get good run time, and I do think Jordy Fernandez could maybe get the most out of him. They're probably not bringing back Cam Thomas at the end of the year. I actually really like the Jeremy Sohan shout for Brooklyn. I think that could be a good idea going forward. And then Jaden Ivey, I agree. I mean, Jaden Ivey would probably be in some sort, of Michael Porter Jr. trade, because Ivey's matching salary. Like, the Nets are not trading any of their recent 5 first-round picks. You're not trading like a Jalen Wilson or Tyrese Martin for a Jaden Ivey. So are you trading a Zaire Williams? I don't know. I don't think Ivey's value is that low going forward, but I do wonder if Detroit is going to try to leverage Ivey. Not into Cam Thomas, although the offensive player Cam Thomas they could maybe use in a pinch in Detroit just as a three-point shooter. And like they can kind of offset his defensive deficiencies with like the Javonte Greens and Ron Hollands and Asar Thompsons of the world. I just don't think that really makes a lot of sense for Detroit. It just doesn't feel like their way of building at the moment. But I don't mind all three of these guys. I'm not done with Cody Williams yet. I just think like, I wish I was more vocal about it at the time, but I was just like, you know what, this guy's going to be a lottery pick. He should go to the draft. But man, this guy could have used another year of collegiate development, but it was just such a weak class where he was going to be a lottery pick, but maybe his skill set in the 25 draft, he probably is not even like a top 20 pick. Like Nolan Traore in the 2024 draft would have probably been a lottery pick. So he just went out maybe in the wrong year, maybe in the right year. I don't think we know if his third-year option got picked up. Actually, I think it did. I don't think we know if his fourth-year option got picked up. And at this rate, I don't know if that's going to happen in Utah. For Charlotte, we have Gigi Jackson, Keon Ellis, Robert Williams. I love the Robert Williams shot. I mean, like, dude, Charlotte this year has been way more competitive in their losses than they were last year and maybe any single year over the last 3 to 4 years. And maybe they just need consistent playing. I mean, okay, so you're asking for reliability out there. I mean, Gigi Jackson has had his injury concerns, and Robert Williams has definitely had his injury concerns. But yeah, Mason Plumlee's out, although, like, I'm way more excited about Kalkbrenner and Diabate when they're out there. Robert Williams has actually been pretty solid this year. I would actually like Robert Williams a ton in Charlotte. If it's not going to cost you too much, I would actually try to sign him in the offseason if he would be willing to come to Charlotte. Keon Ellis, I would take a flyer on him. Charlotte could use another perimeter defender, and I think Ellis could be a nice jolt to that team going forward. I don't know what the matching salary would be. It could just be like Mason Plumlee in a couple seconds. I mean, you're not moving Salon. You're not moving Colin Sexton in that type of deal. You're not moving, I don't think, Josh Green, and that would be really tough financially to work out. Grant Williams as well. I would probably try to trade away Miles Bridges if you can. And I don't mind the Gigi Jackson flyer either. Bring him back to the state of Carolina. I think he's from North Carolina. North or South, because I know he was going to UNC and then he decommitted. He's still one of the younger players in the NBA. I just don't know if Memphis is really going to look to trade away GG right now. But yeah, I like the idea of Keon Ellis and Robert Williams a ton. Chicago, we have Peyton Watson, Derek Lively, and Justin Edwards. Ooh, so I threw out on my SROS channel on Saturday like 15 trade ideas. I threw out a Benedict Mathurin, Derek Lively trade idea. We know Indiana is trying to find a center for the future with Tyrese Halliburton. But what about like a Kobe White swap for Derek Lively? I mean, Kobe White could definitely be somebody Dallas could use now and in the future. The one thing with Kobe White is that's different than my Benedict Mathurin idea is Kobe White is a free agent, unrestricted. Benedict Mathurin is restricted. I also had the Pacers trading a lottery protected pick, to Dallas in 2027. because I assume Indiana's going to be picking in the 20s or further, and it gives you a little bit of a hedge if somehow next year's a disaster. I don't know if Chicago would do that. Derek Lively's value is probably at the lowest, and I don't even think Dallas would move him normally, but the fact that he's had a couple injury concerns, he's extension eligible this offseason, if there is a right offer like a Kobe White on the table, Derek Lively may never be Dallas wouldn't think about trading Derek Lively for something like that ever again if you think this is the lowest point his value will ever be. So I like that idea for Chicago. I like the Peyton Watson shout as well, because there's been a lot of, I guess, just reports out of Denver that they're not going to be able to afford Peyton Watson's desirable rookie extension because this is his fourth year. He's a restricted free agent. Teams will have more cap space. The way that he's playing, I don't think he's getting like a full-on Nickeil Alexander-Walker, like full mid-level. I don't think, at least, but I do think he's going to get a pretty penny this offseason. I could see a team like Chicago liking the idea of Peyton Watson's defensive ability, or a team like Charlotte as well, given that he's young and he's taken a little bit of an offensive leap this year. Could there be a Kobe White, Peyton Watson type swap? Don't hate that. But then again, you're not going to be able to afford really Kobe White in the offseason either if you're Denver, although you could reshuffle some things. Maybe you can include a Zeke Naji in that trade. I don't think Kobe White's value is that low. Maybe it's a Isaac Okoro. Maybe it's like an Isaac Okoro and Trey Jones for like a Peyton Watson, and they take on the Zeke Naji deal. I don't know. There's maybe a Chicago-Denver trade out there that could make sense with Arturas Karnisovas working with his old team. I don't mind those either. And Justin Edwards, if Philly thinks they can make a run this year, the Eastern Conference is as wide open as they've ever seen it to be. Like, Detroit's good objectively. Boston and New York are good objectively. Philly's good. Can you say with absolute certainty that one of those teams is going to be in the NBA Finals? I can, and I'm a Knicks fan. I can't believe in this team until I see it. Detroit, you'd like to think so, but there's still so much time to go, and they're still somewhat inexperienced. Cleveland could still make it, even though they've had a slower start. Could be in Orlando, or heck, who knows about Atlanta second half if they make a move. But if there is like a Justin Edwards for like one of the veterans here, you can't really make it work money-wise with like Herter or Collins, but I don't mind Chicago taking a flyer. Maybe if it's like Ayo Dosunmu, but then again, Philly does have some financial restrictions at the moment. Cleveland, Herb Jones, Kenrich Williams, and Jalen Clark. Okay, so I obviously love the idea of Herb Jones here. I think a Herb Jones deal would have to be centered around either Jared Allen or Darius Garland financially, because it's just not going to work out. I mean, if we're really talking basketball schematics here, although Darius Garland is such an important offensive engine to Cleveland, Herb Jones makes a lot more sense in that backcourt with Donovan Mitchell at the one. Unless you're finding like an elite defensive point guard out there, which there's not that many out there, like Drew Holiday, sure, but he's 35 or whatever he is. Like, Donovan Mitchell should be probably a point guard on your basketball court. He should not be the second worst defender out there or the second smallest guy out there, because you got to worry about Darius Garland's defensive deficiencies, and Garland is a good player. But maybe, like I said, basketball schematics wise, when you're talking about X's and O's, Herb Jones might make a little bit more sense. Although, you look at some of the offensive help Mitchell has had this year, and it's not been the greatest. Like, there are times where I am like screaming, can anybody else self-create on this floor outside of Donovan Mitchell, especially when Garland's been hurt, and there's been some disappointing Mobley games this year. You're not really getting that much out of Herb Jones offensively in terms of creation. I think Kenrich Williams and Jalen Clark are good shouts. I think maybe there is a Kenrich Williams, Max Strus idea, just because there's a financial cap saving for Cleveland in that deal. So maybe, or Sam Merrill with the extension kicking in, and do you want to have Strus and Merrill? Maybe, or there's like a Lonzo for Kenrich Williams trade, although I think OKC doesn't want another like guard defender that isn't a reliable three-point shooter. Jalen Clark, sure. What's the reasoning for that? Just a breath of fresh air. Good defensive young guy. I just don't know why Minnesota would do that in a way. I guess it depends what's coming back. For the Dallas Mavericks, their own 27 first, their own 28 first, and Jared McCain. Yeah, I guess in a perfect world, you can cut your losses for next year in 2028, where you don't have to give up those first round picks to like Charlotte, I believe. Does it mention it here? I would have to double check. Charlotte owns a 27 pick. It is top 2 protected, so you're not going to lose out on like a Tyrant Stokes. It is a weaker 27 draft on paper right now. And then OKC has the swap in 2028. Obviously, anybody could be made available on this team outside of Cooper Flagg. They mentioned Jared McCain in a way. I don't know. I guess like Jared McCain has not been as heavily involved in this rotation this year with the emergence of Edgecombe, and obviously Maxi's been a stud, and maybe Quentin Grimes could make a little bit more sense, but Dallas already ran that idea at one point, although Quentin Grimes would be great around Cooper Flagg. I don't mind the Duke. They were never teammates at Duke, but you could reunite them in a way. I mean, what are you trading? Max Christie for Jared McCain? Like, PJ Washington can't get traded this year. What does Daniel Gafford do for Philly? Kyrie Irving doesn't do anything for Philly either. Yeah, I don't really know. Anthony Davis for Paul George and Jared McCain. Now we're just playing 2K at this point. But yeah, I mean, I think that would be a great get for them. I just don't know why Philly would do that right now when it's just year 2 of that 4-year deal for McCain. For Denver, we have Dosunmu. We kind of talked about that. Maybe there is a Peyton Watson Dosunmu idea. Maybe they think Dosunmu will go for less in free agency than Watson. Justin Champagnie, I feel like is everybody's underrated pickup right now from the Washington Wizards. I talked about that in my 15 trade ideas for the Knicks. And then you have Jalen Smith as well, who I think would easily be made available. Okay, like, is there like a Jalen Smith and I would assume I'd have to run the numbers here. Like, Peyton Watson's probably making what, like $4 or $5 million. He was the 30th pick in year 4, maybe a little bit more than that. Like, well, I can run that right now. So say you do Ayodasumu and we get them another big because of the injuries. I mean, you have Deron Holmes, you have those guys. We could do Dosunmu and we could do Jalen Smith. And then Denver sends out Peyton Watson making 4.3. And then you do Zeke Naji, who's making 8.7. Does that work? I mean, Denver was able to save some money with the Porter Jr. trade in the offseason. So a first apron team can't send more money than it's given out. So they're acquiring 16. They're giving up 2. You'd have to trade... Yeah, you'd have to trade Valanciunas in this deal. I don't know if you prefer that in a way. I mean, you get younger with Jalen Smith. So theoretically, this does work financially. But you're getting an expiring contract. You're getting Jalen Smith, who is younger than Valanciunas, but they're both under contract next year anyway. So I don't think Valanciunas is darting to Lithuania just yet or wherever he was going to sign in the offseason. You do get off that long-term Najee money. I mean... Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Is it Bulls fans? Is it worth it? Maybe you could reroute Valanciunas for a second somewhere else, or you have Valanciunas and Vucevic. Sure, you have to eat into Najee's bad money. He did have a good game the other day against Cleveland, but you get the upside of Peyton Watson long term if you believe in him as an asset. Yeah, it's an interesting idea. I don't know if it makes total sense, but I could see the reasoning for it. Detroit, we have, some high value upgrades. Trey Murphy, Lauri Markkanen, and Michael Porter Jr. I like all 3 of those a ton. I do think they're probably ranked in least available to most available. Like, I think the Pelicans, you really have to wow them with an offer. And I don't know if they do it unless Asar Thompson is on the table. Like, I don't think they're going to value Ron Holland and Jaden Ivey enough to maybe get that deal done. Markkanen, I think you can get it without Asar on the table, but I think Holland and or Ivy has to be in that trade. Obviously, Jalen Duren is a non-starter for any of these guys. Michael Porter Jr., you could probably do it with just Ivy, I would think, or maybe just Holland if you prefer that going forward. But Michael Porter Jr., like, that type of player makes... I mean, I know it's not like this defender stud guy out there that can guard multiple guys. Like, this defense has shown everybody this year it's an elite defense. But man, Michael Porter Jr.'s shot making could be exactly what Detroit needs and what they didn't have in the playoffs last year against the Knicks. And you could finally use that Tobias Harris, $25 million, which... I think it's worth it, man. I think it's worth it going forward. But I don't know how many picks are on the table. Like, what is Michael Porter Jr.'s trade value going forward? For Golden State, I love how we have Derek White in here. What are you giving up for Derek White? 5 first-round picks and pods and Will Richard? I don't think Boston would ever think about trading White the way they're playing right now. Giannis, yeah, sure. You're trading every single valuable first-round pick plus Kuminga, plus Draymond, plus Pods, plus Will Richard, plus Quinn Post. Like, Golden State's just getting gut punched with that. Although Steph Giannis is a lot of fun. Maybe we're like 3 years too late on that idea. And Trey Murphy makes a lot of sense as well. And you could do Kuminga, you could do Pods and or Richard, and you could do 4 first-round picks if you wanted to. I just don't know if New Orleans is actually going to trade away Trey Murphy this year unless they're wowed at an offer. Houston, we have Ryan Rollins, who's trade eligible January 15th. I mean, he's like the only good young player on this Bucks team. I think it would cost a little bit more than you would like for them to trade him. He's also making like $4.5 million next year, fully guaranteed, no player option until 2028. And then you have Peyton Pritchard. Yeah, sure, that makes a lot of sense for Houston's roster building, but they need another good 3-point shooter. Pritchard could be that guy. Why would Boston move Pritchard, who's still under one of the more valuable contracts in this league? And Cam Spencer, also a good guard that they could use as a 3-point shooter who you can help him out defensively with like Amen Thompson out there and Josh Okogie and some others. In division, I think Memphis, if they could somehow turn Cam Spencer into like a late first-round pick when they drafted him in the late second round last year. And they have Ty Jerome coming back. They have Scottie Pippen. So you think with this team at full strength, Cam Spencer's numbers are going to look a little bit less appealing just because the playing time should dip when you have Ty Jerome come back and Scottie Pippen with Ja Morant out there. Maybe you take advantage of that. Maybe this is the value, his highest value it will ever be. We have the Indiana Pacers, Zubats, Misi, and Mogbo. There's a typo here, Mogbos. But yeah, Zubats obviously would be a pipe dream for the Pacers. You'd have to probably move Mathurin and or Jarris Walker and a lot of draft capital in that deal, I would say. Like, you're not moving D. Smith. I don't even know if that's that appealing to Los Angeles. You're not moving Nembhard, although if they dangled Nembhard for Zubats, like that works financially. But I don't think Indiana would do that. And then Misi, yeah, I think we're in year 2 of this contract. They're way more intrigued about Derek Queen long-term at the center spot. Sure, I don't know what it would cost. Like, are you intrigued about Mathurin in New Orleans? I don't know. I don't even know if Mathurin for Misi like is even worth it for Indiana. And then Mogbo, that would cost you maybe Huff and some seconds. That actually might just be Huff straight up because you keep Ajax. That might even be Tony Bradley straight up because Mogbo hasn't really been in the rotation. Like Tony Bradley in a second or two, maybe. And then you have Mogbo might be a little bit undersized at the center spot, even though he does have that nice wingspan. For the Clippers, we have them getting their first round picks back in 26 and 27. How the hell are you getting your first round picks back from OKC unless they're somehow getting like Trey Murphy and you're sending like Zubats to like New Orleans? Maybe. I don't think anybody, I mean, they have been better as of late. So like maybe their pick is dropping in value a little bit, but you would need, like, I don't think, unless you turn into a lottery team, like a late lottery team, like maybe Derek Jones Jr., who just unfortunately got hurt against Boston, like maybe that could dangle you your first round pick back just because Derek Jones Jr. is a really good role player on a good team. But I just don't think OKC would do that. Why? Michael Porter Jr., yeah, and you can get there with John Collins' matching or expiring contract, but you would have to probably throw in an additional first round pick. I don't think Yannick Niederhauser and Colby Sanders are getting it done. And then Terrence Shannon Jr., sure, like you could take a flyer on the wing. Maybe. I don't really know if that's the type of guy they should go after. For the Lakers, we have Herb Jones, Dillon Brooks, and Robert Williams. So another rim protector who's been good this year, who you're not going to play 30 minutes a night, but in 18 minutes a night, Robert Williams could be a pretty good player. You have Dillon Brooks and Herb Jones. That's just what the Lakers need. Defense, right? And these guys would be perfect Lakers. The Suns are not trading Dillon Brooks, I think, let alone to the Lakers. Herb Jones is a little bit more realistic, in my opinion. Memphis, we have Sam Hauser. We have John Collins. We have Simone Fontecchio. Not sexy options whatsoever. You would be getting both of these expiring contracts. Hauser's got a decent amount owed. I'm sure Boston would like to get off of that Hauser contract. Like, would the way Boston's playing right now pull like a Marcus Smart type deal from last year with Memphis and Washington? Like, you trade away your top 20 protected first and Sam Hauser to Memphis. You would have to get like an expiring contract in a way. Like maybe Cam Spencer would be a perfect dream, but I don't think you can't make that work financially. Brandon Clark, he might have an additional year after this year. You don't want a Thomas contract, in my opinion. You don't want KCP's last year remaining, in my opinion. But if there is that like sweet spot of like $10, $11 million or something in Memphis, that's probably what you want coming back in a way. And Hauser, like, I think that could make sense for Boston just because you clear up a lot of financial flexibility long-term in a way. I don't think you're able to do like Ty Jerome for Sam Hauser in a first. I don't think so. Miami, we have Giannis. Yeah, Zion. Okay, there's been a Zion resurgence as of late, and I have been kind of quietly thinking that they should trade Zion right now because, hey, whenever we start talking about, oh, the Zion thing excites me again, that's when you should trade him because we're going to get let down. And then Benedict Mathurin. For Miami, I mean, Miami could look for another offensive player, and if it's going to be like a buy low option on Mathurin, sure. I don't think you're doing a Khalil Ware for Mathurin, but I wouldn't do that if I were Miami. Are you doing like a Wiggins for Mathurin? Financially, that doesn't really work. You're not doing Jaquez. You could Jovic poison pill, but I don't think Indiana wants Jovic. I mean, it's an idea. I do think Miami like eventually needs their number one. And I don't think it's going to be Bam internally. I don't think it's going to be Hero internally. Maybe there's like a 3-team trade out there. Does Zion for Hero? No, we're not going there just yet. Milwaukee, Kawhi, hell yeah. Kawhi, the way Kawhi's playing in Giannis, I kind of love that, but it is the most riskiest thing ever. Royce O'Neal and Zach LaVine, a little bit less risky. I think the way LaVine is playing and the contract, like you don't have to give up a 2031 first. Can you get there with Kuzma and Bobby Portis and like KPJ? something like that. Although Milwaukee should not be trading away their depth, I will say. Royce O'Neal, sure. Like, I don't mind the Royce O'Neal trade, but what are you going to trade? Bobby Portis for Royce O'Neal? I don't know why you would do that. But you're getting Kyle Gillespie in the trade, in which you're not. Kawhi, yeah, like you're trading somehow like Miles Turner and Kyle Kuzma, and then you're somehow rerouting Turner somewhere else. I don't know. If anything, they should, like, these targets should be Jalen Johnson, Paolo Banchero, and like Dylan Harper in a perfect world. Minnesota, we have Kobe White, Adesunu, Cam Spencer. I mean, I would do like Rob Dillingham and like some swap down the line for Kobe White, hoping that you could re-sign Kobe White at the end of the year. Just another big-time shot maker for this team and just upgrades their bench. I mean, Bones Highland has replaced Rob Dillingham in this rotation anyway. Cam Spencer, sure. I don't know why Memphis would trade you Cam Spencer like you're doing Clark or Shannon or Dillingham. Unless you're trading like an unprotected first, which they can't really do. Maybe 2032 down the line, which I don't even think they can do. Maybe they can. And then you, like, Dosunmu, I don't mind as well. Can you do like Conley in a bunch of seconds? Dillingham in a bunch of seconds for Dosunmu? I think I prefer that as well than Dillingham, and trying to think that's going to work. It's a sunk cost at this point. New Orleans, Moses Moody, Corey Kispert, and Michael Porter Jr. I don't think New Orleans should trade for Michael Porter Jr. at all. Corey Kispert, sure, you could take a flyer on him. I want to say that Kispert has been kind of available mostly in his career, but I could be wrong on that. And then Moses Moody, I guess that's in some type of Trey Murphy, Herb Jones trade, which I wouldn't mind Moses Moody. I would like for New Orleans to get a little bit better depth in the world, like in a way, because I'm kind of done with Jordan Hawkins, sadly. We're getting DeJounte Murray back. I don't know if Jordan Poole is going to be on this team after next year. You can't trust Zion to be healthy. The front court's kind of been all over the place this year. Just guys that are available every single night. New York, Najee Marshall, perfect world. It's like Gershon, Pacomi Dadier, and like the 31st pick from the Wizards this year, 32 for Najee Marshall. I would love that. Justin Champagnie and Ochai Agbaji. I will say, I just tweeted this out today because I've been watching the Knicks as of late, and I rewatched some of their defensive tape today. Their defense is not good right now. It is not good, and I'm getting to the point where it's like Brunson and Towns are great offensively individually, but I think their offense needs to be better with the two to say, okay, we could live with their defensive deficiencies as a duo off the bench, because Brunson, as a perimeter defender, he obviously has his limitations. He's not a complete cone out there, but he's not great. And if he's getting beat, you kind of need a better rim protector than Karl-Anthony Towns down there. And teams can match up on them in the playoffs. And I'm a little bit scared against like the matchup against Boston in the playoffs. I'm fine against Cleveland. Like, they've handled themselves well against Cleveland in the past in the playoffs. And like last year, I know they couldn't beat Cleveland, but I think it'd be fine. Boston worries me a little bit. Even this year's Detroit worries me a little bit. Philly, I mean, the Knicks have not looked good against Philly this year. Could we do Cat for Anthony Davis? A lot of risk to it. And I said it on Twitter, and a lot of people were like, why would they trade away Anthony Davis for Cat? They want young picks and players. Once again, like, could Anthony Davis have just already been traded already? Like, maybe teams are waiting for Giannis, and maybe teams are just need to see him healthy. But like, I feel like if you were getting young picks and players, you would have done it already, which maybe nobody's really offering a serious offer there. And maybe Cat gets rerouted to a third team, but you don't own your first rounder next year. For the most part, if it's outside the top two, you don't own your first round pick in 28. Cat is younger. He's under the same contract. Like I said, maybe you reroute him, but like, he's worked out with double bigs in Minnesota before with Gobert. You could play him out there with Gafford and Lively when he returns. I don't know. He's been more available than AD. I don't really think that's a downgrade at all. AD is a better player when he's healthy, but that's always been a big if. Like I said, Cat's a couple years younger. He's been more reliable out there. And this team could afford to lose a defender at Anthony Davis for an offensive player in Cat. OKC, we just have first round picks. Okay. San Antonio has the OKC's number. Oh yeah. Okay. So they're just saying that. I mean, yeah, get more draft capital. Sure. I think this team could use another shooter in a way, like Trey Murphy, perfect shooter. Probably. I mean, they have the assets to go out and get Trey Murphy if they really wanted to. Sadiq Bey, like a lower tier guy, I would say, but sure. More draft capital, the merrier. Orlando, Kispert, Mikhailiuk, Sensabaugh. I would say Sensabaugh, he's fun in theory, but there's some limitations to him as a complete player. He's kind of like one-dimensional in a way. Svi Mikhailiuk, I don't think will cost much whatsoever. Maybe there's a Tyus Jones for Svi Mikhailiuk trade out there. And then Corey Kispert would be nice. I don't know. It's an in-division trade. You traded a little bit of your draft capital, most of it for Desmond Bane. Could you do like Jett Howard and Jonathan Isaac and maybe some type of seconds or a swap or something for Kispert. Maybe, in a way. They can get their matching salary-wise. Philly, we have Keon Ellis, Jay Huff, Eason. I mean, I don't mind Andre Drummond's three-point shooting. I don't mind a Dembona, but yeah, you do have the risk with Embiid. Keon Ellis, like, sure, would be a buy low guy. Like, you're not giving up Jared McCain for Keon Ellis. Maybe it's like a, I don't know about a Dominic Barlow, or it's like a Justin Edwards, sure, for Keon Ellis. And Eason, yeah, like, that would be sick. I don't think you're doing Kelly Oubre for Eason. Maybe there's a Jared McCain-Eason swap that could make sense for both teams in a way. I don't know if I would do that if I were Houston. And obviously, like, Edgecombe is basically untouchable unless it's like Edgecombe and Paul George for Giannis. Anyone? The way Embiid's playing lately. Phoenix, we have Zion, Sadiq Bey, and Rui Hachimura. I don't hate the idea of Phoenix taking a flyer on Zion. It's just the contract is so large. You basically have to trade away Jalen Green or Grayson Allen, Dylan Brooks, Royce O'Neal, which you're just not doing for the most part. Sadiq Bey, I like that for Phoenix, but I don't think Phoenix should trade away any first-round picks. I think Phoenix could be in like the buy-low market out there. I just also don't know if Zion really fits their identity. Hachimura, I don't mind either. If you're doing like Royce O'Neal for Hachimura in a way. I don't think I'm moving Grayson or Brooks for Hachimura. Portland, we have Trey Murphy. Would be nice. I would love that for them. I don't know if you can do Tumani Kamara for Murphy. It's tough there with the contracts right now. Grady Dick. Take a buy low on Grady Dick, sure, and Sam Merrill. If Cleveland's looking to shed some cap, I don't hate that either. Portland needs to upgrade their bench. So Drew Holiday's been hurt this year. He's not super young. Dame's coming back next year. Can you rely on him to play 65-plus games? I don't know. Scoot's been hurt this year. This team has had a lot of point guard injuries and a lot of center injuries. Jeremy Grant's missed some time. They just need to get better bench help if they want to make the playoffs. Like, I don't mind City Sissoko minutes at times. I don't mind Ryan Repair minutes at times or Caleb Love minutes at times or Yang Hansen or Hansen Yang's minutes at sometimes. But if they're a serious team this year, their bench needs to get better. Sacramento, we have Milwaukee's 2031 first. Sure. If you could trade Zach LaVine for it, yeah, that's a good asset. Terrence Shannon Jr., sure, buy low on him if it's like a Keon Ellis swap in a way. If Keon Ellis is just going to leave you at the end of the year. And Ryan Dunn is nice for them. They could use another defender in the front court. I don't know if that's like a Keon Ellis trade, but I don't know if Phoenix really wants another guard, to be honest with you. San Antonio, we have Trey Murphy. Yeah, Jaren Jackson Jr. and Jalen Wells. I don't know why they would move Wells at all, honestly. You'd have to give more of your draft capital up, but I don't think San Antonio would do that. I think Trey Murphy makes a little bit more sense. Triple J, like, that contract is huge, and you might have to give up a decent amount. Like, I think San Antonio likes the depth that they have at the moment. For Toronto, we have Day'Ron Sharpe, Jock Landale, Sadiq Bey. This team could definitely use another shooter, but I would like to see them get a third center. Like, God forbid there's another Mamu injury or there's a Jakob Poeltl injury. Like, Scotty could play center in a pinch. I think it would be nice for them to get another big. And hey, if it's a big that could shoot in a way, it's not a bad idea. Utah, we have Tari Eason, Ben Shepherd, Justin Champagnie. I guess you're taking a flyer on Shepherd, whose value is pretty low. Champagnie, okay. Eason, like, I just wonder, like, where these are working out. I just don't think Utah's going to be super active at the deadline in terms of, like, a big name trade, unless it's marketing, because, one, they have all these young players. Like, maybe there is a Cody Williams or a Taylor Hendricks trade, but I just don't think they will move those guys right now. Maybe they sell high on Collier. And then, like, for the old guys, like, nobody's really lining up to trade for Kevin Love or George Niang or Svi Mikhailiuk in a way, or Kyle Anderson and some of these veterans, or Yusuf Nurkic, I think. And then Washington, we have Scottie Pippen Jr., who's been hurt this year. I think they could look for another point guard, Kolek and Collier. So, yeah, maybe there's a Kolek for Champagnie trade. Maybe. And then there's an Isaiah Collier trade, which I would like for them as well. So that is going to be for me. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, I would appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. Let me know down below what you guys thought about any of these 3 trade targets for every team. I'll leave a link to the article in the description. Catch you all on the next one. Peace.